Hi everyone, this is Miss CM Altaf. So I'm your taxation faculty. I normally teaches income tax and GST, but here specifically we are dealing with the GST, and I am into teaching for the last 6 years, and I'm a qualified and practicing chartered accountant for the last 5 years. Right. So this is all about me, and we are starting the GST Booster. So before starting our lectures, I just want to tell something regarding the classes and okay, what all things you have to take care. First of all, this is purely meant for person actually have gone through GST or have listened to a GST class before, either my class or any other classes. And for that, just one thing I just want to mention that regular classes, I don't have English classes as of now, but I'm planning. So my Malayalam classes you might have seen, and those who are watching first time in a GST Booster for the first time, it's not necessary that you have to listen to my classes. Any other faculty, one time you must watch. That's the only condition I'm just putting here. Yeah. So anyway, why the GST Booster? Why that name I've given here? Why GST Booster? Why not GST Fast Track? Why not GST Revision? Nothing like that. This is purely GST Booster. Why I given that name? I'll tell you. See, this is not just a revision actually. Not just a revision. Here, what are we going to plan is that we are going to give so many connections. See, normally what people make a mistake is that I'll tell you. Okay, you have to understand this. Normally, what people make that. See. For example, I'll just give an example, okay? For example, GTA, we have RCM provision also, and we have exemption provision also. See, since you are a repeater or already have heard GST classes, you might be familiar with the terms RCM and GTA, etc., exemption, etc. So, if you take the GTA, it is we have RCM provision in one area, and in another part we have exemption area. So what people do that, they will study RCM thoroughly, where they will study exemption thoroughly. But what happens is that they will lose the connection in between. So they cannot form an answer. That's the issue. And that problem we will be addressing in this class. So this is not just a revision, okay? Of course, we cannot go through like regular classes, of course. And my motive of this class is that to complete the class as soon as possible, because you're all running short of time, right? Yes. But we will give a beautiful connection in between. That's a highlight. Yes. So let's start with the GST Booster. I'm not wasting my time on introduction. Yes. And if you have my regular material, that also you should keep with you. If anybody don't have the regular material, you can just message to this number to purchase it if you want. Otherwise, it's okay. Whatever material you're following, that is enough. That's also enough. Okay. Now, so let's start with the introduction. Absolutely not relevant from examination point of view. Absolutely not relevant. Because this is a very, very basic chapter and nothing else to ask. Okay, so I'm just giving a summary about the first chapter. I'm not considering even C category. This is something like E or F category and all. So this you can put it as C category for the time, not even C, okay? Now, we all know that GST is a consumption based tax. Before that, just all of you might be knowing, still I'm just giving an introduction because this is important. If anybody missing that introduction, then it will be very difficult for them to catch the other parts. So there will be a supplier, right? There will be a supplier. Okay. Then there will be a recipient. There will be a recipient. Now, for example, a recipient has purchased some goods from supplier and he has given rupees 1 lakh plus 18,000. Total 1,18,000 he has paid to the supplier. Then supplier is giving that 18,000 to GST department. That is government. Okay. This is how the GST concept works, right? So from whose hand GST has gone? From the recipient, means a consumer, means a person who purchasing it. That is why GST is known as consumption tax. Moreover, this person is not directly giving to the government, he is indirectly giving to the through the supplier. That is why GST is known as indirect tax. That's a different things. Okay. Yeah. So my another thing I just want to tell you this. This is where most of the students get confused and they make mistake normally. Who is the supplier? Who is the recipient? So we will be thinking in this way. The person who giving the goods is a supplier. The person receiving the goods is a recipient. That is a blunder. You should not do that. Then how can you identify which person is a supplier, which person is a recipient? Simple technique. Who is giving the money? This person is giving the money. He is the recipient. Who is receiving the money? This person is receiving the money. He is a supplier. This is a one simple solution. And this is the only solution. Okay, there is no other solution to identify who is a supplier, who is a recipient. So no other way you should think. No other way. Okay, this is the only way you have to identify who is a supplier, who is a recipient. This is just a beginning, like just to give a start. I'm just giving you, and I'm sure all of you might be already knowing this. No. Now, so GST is a consumption tax. It is introduced in 1st July 2017. You have to remember this. GST is introduced. Like for bringing the GST, we required a constitutional amendment. So, 101st constitutional amendment has been done to introduce GST, whereby they introduce a new article, Article 246A, and this has paved the way for what we say GST. So these two things you have to understand: 101st constitutional amendment and Article 246A. This has paved the path to bring the GST. Right? This you have to understand. So I already given who is a supplier, who is a recipient. Supplier is receiving the money, recipient is paying the money. Okay, and we also know that there are so many taxes has been subsumed with the introduction of GST. There are central taxes, there are state taxes. Central taxes we have excise duty, service tax, central tax, countervailing duty, special addition duty. You don't have to remember, or you don't have to go in detail what is countervailing duty, what is special addition duty, because that is not there in practically. So you don't have to study what actually it is. You just have to remember the names. That's it. Okay. And what are the state taxes? We have VAT, luxury tax, tax on advertisement, entry tax, tax on lottery, betting, gambling, and entertainment tax. Okay, so these are the these are the state taxes which has been subsumed under GST. Okay, now GST Council. GST Council. This is one important thing you have to understand. GST Council. Okay, see what is GST Council, buddies? This is very simple. See, whatever GST is collecting from the recipient, that will be remitted by the supplier to the government. Which government he will be remitting? Is it the central government or state government? You have to understand, to both the government equally the 50% will go to the central government, 50% will go to the state government. So GST is actually collecting equally by central government, equally by state government. So don't you think there should be a mechanism where both the governments sit together and decide things, right? Yeah, that is where the importance of GST Council. GST Council is a group, or is a group of finance ministers from each of the states and the union finance minister. They will sit together and discuss the development of GST and what are the things to be undertaken or implemented. So GST Council means what is the requirement of GST Council that I told you? Requirement of GST Council. Why GST Council is required is because, as I told you, whatever GST is collecting from us is distributing or is collecting equally by central government and state government, so that one government alone cannot take any decision. They have to both sit together and decide things. That is where the importance of GST Council arises. So GST Council, who has constituted President of India, the then President of India, constituted GST Council on 15 and 2016, and consisting of ministers. Ministers, which ministers? Finance or revenue ministers. Finance or revenue ministers from each states. And finance minister of India is the chairperson. Okay. And union minister of state in charge of finance also will form part of the council. Okay. Now, state ministers shall choose one among them as a vice chairperson. Okay. So these are the thing. Now, what are the function? You would be thinking from my discussion that GST Council is the one who going to take all the decision with regard to GST. No, absolutely no. They cannot take decisions and all, but what they can do is they can recommend to the government. They can only recommend to the government on various matters. Okay, what are the matters they will be recommending? Taxes, cesses, duties, which are to be subsumed under GST. Which are to be subsumed under GST. And goods or service shall be subject to or exempt from GST. They will decide on which all goods GST to be there, on which all goods GST should not be there, and threshold limit of turnover below which GST would be exempted. As all of us know, in registration chapter, we are going to study there is a limit of 10 lakh, 20 lakh, 40 lakh. Who will recommend this? Who has recommended this 10 lakh, 20 lakh, 40 lakh? That is GST Council. Okay. And special provision for a special category state. We have something called special category state, and for them we have a special provision. Those special provision will be recommended by the GST Council. Then apportionment of GST among union and state government, not important inter-level, dispute resolution, GST legislation, etc. These are the different area where GST Council will recommend to the government. Set. Okay. Then there is a quorum of the meeting. See, they will, they will meet in between, not in once, maybe once or twice or thrice in a year. And for each meeting, 1/2 of the total members to be present. Otherwise, they cannot hold a meeting. Okay. So 1/2 means 50% of the members to be present. And the decision of the council can be passed or decided on 75% majority. That means 3/4. But you have to understand, this is not a normal 75%. This is a weighted votes. What is weighted votes? For each central government will have one vote, and that one vote will have 1/3 majority. That means they will have 33.33% share of vote. And for all other states, they will put together, they will have 2/3. They will have 2/3 of the majority, means the vote share. That means 66.67%. This is the weighted vote. That is how you have to arrive at this 75%. Okay, fine. So this is the GST Council. That is the one area you have to keep in mind. Then we have interstate and intrastate. Interstate and intrastate. So what does that means? Interstate and intrastate, all of us know. Interstate means, see, for example, what is international? What is international? International means what we said, a transaction between one country with another country, right? So what is interstate? A transaction between one state and other states. For example, you are selling some goods from Kerala to Gujarat. That is an interstate. Okay. If you're selling from Tuvur, that is my native, Tuvur to Kochi, both are in Kerala. That is intrastate. That is intrastate. If it is interstate, IGST would be chargeable. If it is intrastate, CGST plus SGST would be chargeable. Simple. I'm sure all of you might be already knowing this, right? So this is the first chapter. Very simple chapter. Don't invest more time in this chapter. Definitely they're not going to ask you like. So, but why we have covered is because just to get just start, right? So anyway, the one thing you have to remember is that who is a supplier, who is a recipient, and then GST Council, that also you can just go through. That's it. And then intrastate, all of you might be knowing. So don't think we will be discussing the next chapters also in this way, like skipping all the things. Not like that. This is the only chapter where I'll be skipping the things. In the next chapters, I will cover each and every points. Don't worry, each and every points will cover, but in a short way. That's a trick. That's a magic you are going to witness, right? Yes. So we will see the next video in the next chapter in the next video. Thank you. Yes.